Hey there, I am so excited today to be showing you 5 new easy casseroles that only have about 5 ingredients in them, not including seasoning, so I hope you enjoy it, and let's go get started. To kick us off today, we are making this Mexican chicken and rice casserole. So to begin, I have this box. It's about 8 ounces of Zatarain's, red beans, and rice. I am just going to boil it up according to the box directions on my stove. This might seem kind of strange, but seriously, this recipe is amazing. My mom used to make something very similar to this when I was growing up. So I am just going to cook up this rice right now. I do also want to mention to you, you could always use different rices as a substitute. For example, you could cook up Spanish rice as a substitute, just like a box of Spanish rice, whatever you prefer. But now that our rice is cooked, over to my large casserole dish. I did grease that casserole dish pretty well. I added our bean and rice mixture right in there. On top of that, I am going to be adding about 3.5 cups of shredded chicken. I'm using a rotisserie chicken just to make everything simple, but you could boil chicken up on your own and then shred it from there, whatever you prefer. Next, I'm going to be spreading 8 ounces of cream cheese over the top of the chicken. You do want to make sure your cream cheese is pretty soft so it is spreadable. I like to put mine in the microwave for about 20 seconds before to make sure it's good and soft. Over the top of the cream cheese, I added 3/4 cup of salsa. You could use any type of salsa you like. Lastly, over the top of everything, I covered it with 1 cup of Mexican style cheese. I put aluminum foil over the top. This baked on 375 degrees for about 35 minutes. After 35 minutes, I removed the foil and I continued to bake this for an additional 10 minutes. Here's the finished product. We like to top ours with our favorite taco toppings. This recipe is amazing because it's so versatile. You can make it your own so easily. For example, if you don't care for certain ingredients in it, you could always leave the ingredients out, or you could always add to it. It's really delicious. Now we're getting started on the simple hash brown hamburger casserole. So to the pan on my stove, I have 2 pounds of ground beef. I'm breaking the ground beef up and I cooked it through. Once the ground beef was cooked through, I removed any excess grease. Now I'm adding in our seasonings, just a 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder and garlic powder, salt and pepper, and then I gave this a really good stir. I brought our ground beef over to my greased 9x13 baking dish and I added it in there, spread it out as even as possible, and then I set our baking dish to the side. We're going to begin now on our hash brown mixture. So into this large bowl, I added 1 cup of shredded sharp cheddar cheese. Next, you'll be adding 1 10-ounce can of cream of mushroom soup. I like the cream of mushroom with roasted garlic, but if you can't find that at your store, normal cream of mushroom's fine. Next, you'll add in a cup of milk, 1/3 cup of melted butter, and then a dash of salt and pepper. You are going to whisk this all together. Now that this is well combined, you are going to stir in your 20 ounces of shredded frozen hash browns. Now that we're through stirring in our hash browns, I grabbed our baking dish with the ground beef in it, and we are going to be spreading the hash brown mixture over the top of our ground beef, and then you are going to spread this out as even as possible. Over the top, sprinkle 1 cup of shredded sharp cheddar cheese. This will bake in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for about 50 to 55 minutes. Here's my plate of dinner. I served this alongside of steamed peas. This recipe has so many simple classic ingredients in it, but yet it is still so flavorful and bold tasting. We love this one, especially my little daughter Brinley. Now we're making this ham and noodle casserole, and you know what? When I was growing up, I remember one time my grandma made something so similar to this. It's really good. To a pot of boiling water, I added my 12 ounces of large egg noodles. I'm going to cook them according to the package instructions. Now over to my cutting board, I'm going to cut up my 16 ounces of cooked ham. It looks like this. This is the brand I really like using. I cut the ham into little tiny pieces just like this, kind of like bite-sized pieces, I guess you could say. But now over to this large bowl, I added 1/3 cup of milk, followed by 1/2 cup of sour cream, 10 ounces of cream of mushroom soup, and then for the seasonings, toss in about 1/2 teaspoon of salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and paprika. Give this a really good whisk. Now that we have this mixture really well combined, we are going to add in our ham along with a cup of shredded cheddar cheese and the egg noodles that we boiled up earlier. They're drained now. Give this a really good stir. I grabbed a 9x13 baking dish, I sprayed it with nonstick spray, then I added our ham and noodle casserole right in there. I spread it out as even as possible, then over the top of everything, I sprinkled an additional cup of shredded cheddar cheese. I covered this with foil and baked it on 375 degrees for 30 minutes, and then I uncovered it and baked it for an additional 8 to 10 minutes. Here's the finished product. This casserole is not dry at all. It is rich, creamy, and divine. I really need to cook with ham like this more often. This type of ham is very budget friendly and high in protein and delicious. Now we're making this Mexican crescent casserole. To get this one started, to the pan on my stove, I added 1 pound of ground beef. I broke the ground beef up with my meat masher, and now I'm going to cook this ground beef through. While the ground beef is cooking away, I pulled out my baking dish, sprayed it with nonstick spray. Now I'm going to unravel this tube of crescents. This is an 8-ounce tube, and I'm going to pinch the seams in all the crescents and kind of flatten the crescent dough out so it's a little bit thinner. Now that we have our ground beef cooked through, I removed any excess grease in the pan. Then I added in 1 cup of salsa. You could use any brand, any type of salsa that you love. I gave this a really good stir to incorporate the salsa in with the ground beef. Now over to the baking dish with the crescent dough in it, I added the ground beef mixture over the top of the crescent dough. I'm spreading it out as even as possible at this point. Now I'm going to be sprinkling 1 cup of cheddar cheese over the top. This will bake on 350 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes or until the crescent dough is golden brown. You could almost get away with saying this is kind of like a Mexican pizza. We like to top ours with kind of like taco toppings. So today I did avocado, cherry tomatoes, and cilantro, but you could top yours with whatever type of taco toppings you like. Now we're making this classic chicken casserole. So for this recipe, you'll need about 4 cups of cooked chicken. I'm cooking my chicken in the Instant Pot and I want to show you how I do it. But you could boil your chicken on the stove or use a rotisserie chicken, whatever you prefer. So I added my 2 huge chicken breasts to my Instant Pot, added a cup of water with a dash of salt and pepper over the top. You could of course add more seasonings or less, whatever you want. But since my chicken breasts were so big, I'm going to cook this on high pressure for 20 minutes. After my chicken was cooked through in the Instant Pot, I'm just going to kind of like cut it up / shred it at this point. It was really nice and fall apart tender. I added my chicken to this large bowl. Now into the large bowl with the chicken, I'm adding 2 10-ounce cans of cream of chicken soup, or you could add any other type of cream of soup you like. Next, you'll be adding 3 cups of frozen broccoli florets. If you don't care for the broccoli, you don't have to add it in, but I do like adding the broccoli in just because you get a veggie in there in a really simple way pretty much. But for the seasonings, I added 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, and onion powder. I gave this a really good stir to combine the ingredients. Once we're finished stirring our chicken mixture all together, I set it to the side. Now in this bowl, we're going to start on our panko mixture. So you'll want to add in about 1.5 cups of Italian style panko breadcrumbs. I only had a cup left of the panko breadcrumbs, so I also added 1/2 cup of regular breadcrumbs and it worked out just fine. I added in 5 tablespoons of melted butter to the breadcrumbs. I gave it a really good stir. After I was finished stirring that all together, I pulled out my large casserole dish and I added our chicken casserole mixture right in there. Over the top of the chicken casserole mixture, you'll add 1 cup of shredded sharp cheddar cheese, followed by the breadcrumb mixture that we made up with the butter. Spread that out as even as possible, and then over the top of that, I added an additional 1/2 cup of cheese. This is going to bake in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for about 30 minutes. We like to serve our casserole over a bed of either steamed white rice or egg noodles, but if you're looking for a lower carb side dish to pair with this, cauliflowered rice would actually go really, really well with it too. But this casserole is wonderful and so simple to make. I have plenty more videos like this on my channel, so make sure you're subscribed down below the video so you don't miss any more in the future. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.